Wednesday night, we're all in sight. 9 o'clock, it's shining bright. Turn the dial and feel the might. Just enough Heshy takes flight. Woo! Laughs and wisdom side by side. Heshy show won't be denied. Tune in live and ride the tide. Feel the rush and feel the pride. It's just enough Heshy. Wanna vote for Heshy? It's just enough Heshy. Join the crowd, it's messy.
Hello, everybody. You always make fun of me. You have to stop that. I don't know. Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Just Enough Heshy show. This Tom is making me. First of all, I was on Tom's show this week.
Yes, you know what?
Was that a pretty good guest?
I'll tell you what. People were still talking about it yesterday. They were saying,
I love those wrestlers.
They were all so pumped up. I think my YouTube views were like 13 or 14. You came on. It was one of my friends who always comes in the chat, Dakota Riley.
And I got an award.
It was 20. I
put
put you in my Hall of Fame.
Yes,
you were the 110th member.
I've never been in the Hall of Fame. I finally made it.
Well, it's like you haven't won an election yet. Now you got in the Hall of Fame.
Was there an election?
Well, you won the Hall of Fame vote.
So basically it's you.
Well, yeah. I mean, I signed it. You got into the Sports Wire Radio Hall of Fame. Yes, the 110th member.
I want you to know that it was a rough week for me because of what Linda went through, and then the weekends.
And being on my show was certainly a rough experience
for you. No, but we just keep going, and it's getting a little better. But I have clients in trouble, and I'm going to tell you all the problems in the world. And of course, we have the. I know you're not nervous, but I'm 3 weeks away, a little bit more, of being nervous on who's going to win that Democratic nomination.
We're going to talk about it. Listen.
And people, makes no difference. We are in this city. Nobody's running the city right now. I'm just telling you right now, nobody's running. Everybody's
You could argue that we really haven't had true leadership in the city.
And then Hochul is taking credit, and they're all doing whatever they want to do.
Congestion pricing, we're going to talk about, continues.
Every agency is doing what they want. People are getting in trouble. Protests are going on. There's no organization. There's no leader in the city of New York.
And that's been going on for a long time. I just read the other day that I think we're the 5-year anniversary mark for the George Floyd incident. And since you think about that was a low point in our city, and we're pretty much right at the same point if you think about it.
People are asking Trump to pardon, what's his name? Chavez, whatever, the cop that killed.
Well, today, just before we went on the air, because we're going to be here at 9 o'clock, our usual time, but before we came into the studios here, the Just Enough Heshy studios, Michael Grimm had got pardoned, which a lot of people would have.
How come I can't get pardoned?
It's funny you said that. I thought the same thing. Now, full disclosure, Michael Grimm is someone I've worked for in the past, and I know him I knew him on a personal level.
I can't even get to Trump.
Yeah, but yes, if you want to call into the show, it's going to be next week, because right now, if you may or may not know this, we're pre-recording. So yeah, if Michael Grimm wanted to call, unfortunately, he can't call into the show this week.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
We also want to discuss. Of course, you're going to discuss a couple of bills with
the big beautiful bill. I have the details.
I
read that.
Explain to what the big beautiful.
Well,
bill
I don't know
means.
if it's a big beautiful bill. According to Elon Musk, he didn't think it was a big beautiful bill.
I love Elon Musk. I cannot believe that we're going to have a problem. Everybody says.
And I see that Trump wants more tariffs, and Trump wants Canada to be the 51st state. Apparently,
no. That's a joke. There's no possible way we're going to take a whole country.
He talked about putting them into the Golden Dome in exchange for the first state.
And you can't even get Puerto Rico to vote themselves to be the 51st. And they take a lot of advantage of us. You know that.
I thought you would have wanted Canada for the 51st day. We're just enough states, you think? Just enough?
Just enough. Puerto Rico's part of it. We have enough commonwealths. Canada, they don't like us anyways, most of those people. Even though we like them, but they don't like us. They're
it's funny. Right when you came off my show, I actually had on a Canadian guest. It's kind of interesting. But, since I know you're mad because you want us to be right at that 5-minute timeline, we are about to go on here for our 3 radio stations that are always with us, and I want to introduce them since they're about to come on here. First of all, the legendary 1027 FM WNEW, the rock and roll radio station where Heshy used to listen to his favorites, like Rick Derringer, rest in peace, died at the age of 77. If you're a wrestling fan, he's the guy that created the Hulk Hogan Real American song.
Just say hello to the people.
And I go when get business here. WJPR 1640, and as I always say every week, Heshy, the place he most wants to be, Miami, Florida, beautiful Miami, Florida. And when are we getting beautiful weather here in New York? And of course, our flagship WSNR 620 AM. And thank you for tuning in to this week's Just Enough Heshy
I had
show.
to put my electric heater on. I just want you to know that's how.
Saturday I went out and delivered my newspapers, and it was like I had this on and I had a hockey jersey on, even today.
And you know what? I went to my doctor for my blood test. My son, Heshy, and his wife say, "Oh, you always brag about how good health you're in, and you eat all this garbage, you smoke the vapes, you run around, and they're all saying, you're not like skinny. Look at you, Tom."
Yes.
And so I went for my blood test this week. I went for a full plan because my foot hurt me. I told you a little bit.
Yes, you did.
So I went to get my foot checked out. And I sat there and I did the full blood work. And I got back the test results. And I was reading it and I was nervous. I don't really understand. I'm not a doctor. I'm close to one,
but you'll be a lawyer in a few weeks.
By the way, my LSTAT is next week.
We were talking about this on my show, actually.
Right. So I better be ready.
You better be ready.
I don't want to be embarrassed. They're all making for the bets are going on. I won't get a 147. I got my my transcripts from my high school and college. And I couldn't believe it. It was a 3.76 grade average.
Wow.
Yeah. I just mailed it into
3.76.
Yeah, I thought I was even stupider than that.
Now, if Trump has,
I didn't even try some of the years.
Now, if Trump has its way, when we get rid of the pennies, we'd have to round that off. So
right, 3.8. I think that's honorable material, no?
Well, I tell you what, definitely. Hopefully, you do just enough as well on the LSATs.
But I gave my blood test results to my daughter-in-law, who's a PA, and she goes back to my son. Wow, your father's in good health. She says, I can't believe it. You're made out of steel. Not steel, gentlemen and ladies, but iron.
Well, certainly you have plenty of iron, I guess, in your blood there.
Too much iron, I think. I want to shout out to my favorite, not my favorite. They're all my favorite. Mira Nava.
Favorite part of the show.
I love you, Mira Nava.
I even said it on my show for you. Mira Nava.
Leila Tamar, my grandson, Benjamin. I don't even know.
And begrudgingly, you should wish a happy anniversary.
Wait, you gotta let me finish.
All
Come
right.
on, you keep interrupting me.
Can't help it.
You keep trying to, get to the beginning of the show. I don't know what's wrong with you.
A lot of things are wrong
Abraham
with me.
is making you to try to make me upset because he wants more of a raise. Tell him he's not getting it.
Well, he used the credit card already.
I know he did. We're going to chat about it. Your little Mission Impossible.
Yes.
That's your fault. I believe you talked him into it. Benjamin Hill, my oldest grandson, Yeshua, and of course, Ahuva Delicious that you are.
Yes.
And Sergeant Peter. I want to say hello to Sergeant Peter.
Hope he's doing well.
Ellie, I'm so happy that you're back with your son. Ellie had a little problem with his son, a friend of mine, but he's making friends. That's what people do. You make up with your family, your friends, your brothers, your cousins.
Absolutely.
And my sister-in-laws who just came back from Israel after sitting shiva for their mother in Israel. And I want to tell you what happened. So, as you know, the first week after Linda's mother passed away, so we had Yaakov over and family members to try to calm Linda down. She just got up from Shiva on Friday and whatever.
We just saw her here in the studio.
Right, and she's with me. I'm taking her around. And what happened was Saturday, Friday, this week, Sabbath, me and Linda were going to spend the day alone.
Okay.
We were going to stay home alone. I was going to cook for her. We were going to go for a walk, visit my son Avram. I get a call Friday night, 10 minutes before.
What?
Somebody committed suicide.
Oh, yes. You talked about this on my show. Yes,
right?
this came up on my show.
I sat with the guy in the hospital because there was a family of 8. I sat with the kid. Then the next morning, my shift change came late. So,
and if you want to call into the show next week, so just letting you know, next week.
So they're going to call again. They keep bothering me. Anyway, so I went to the hospital, came late. I walked home.
And if you do want to call us, certainly.
They don't bother
maybe you want to call in.
When they call me, they don't stop calling me. I get calls all day long.
I know. I'm aware. You and I both.
Yeah,
so I understand.
So anyway, I was in the hospital. Then I walked home. I had lunch with Linda. And then I went back to the hospital. So even on days that I'm supposed to spend with Linda, so it was a tough one for Linda. And I asked Linda.
Understood.
I said, Linda, you're not upset? She says, Heshy, I know what you do. I I said, this is what we do. We take care of people, and yes, I wanted to spend time with you. Yes, I wanted to walk with you. But, our job is, and I had another guy, this guy, Mr. Stern, he took in a family, I always tell you how I take families in and young people in.
Yep.
He took in this week a young boy who's here for cancer treatments from London. He took in a young lady who's supposed to have a baby, and if she doesn't have an abortion, the baby will die, she will die. He took her in, sent her to a special doctor in Manhattan, and they found a way to have the baby for her, and she stayed by his place for free.
That's great.
He has 2 other people that he takes in. So I see a lot of people doing good. And he sat me down, he says, Heshy, what are you crying about? They don't elect you. You're put on this earth to serve God. You're going to serve God, or you're going to cry about being elected? So I'm going to tell you a quote.
You tell me.
And this is my quote.
All right. I'm ready.
And the answer is, have you ever been lied to? What's the biggest lie ever told to you?
That you were going to win the election.
Okay. So the biggest lie
that was a good one.
The biggest lie, it's simple.
Okay. What's that?
That's it. The lie is when they tell you that it's simple.
Oh, right in front of you.
And the truth of the matter is, it is simple. Because when they tell you it's not simple, you're going to be aggravated. But anything you do is simple. Try it. It's simple. Don't let the media tell you it's not simple. Don't let them tell you not to try. It's simple. It's really simple. Just try it. Don't be scared.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to tell him that it's not simple to do, then he will give up and not do it.
That's what they want.
That's what they want.
People want you to give up.
You see that the fake media out there has tricked. I mean, look how much influence this media has on us. We see
Oh, my
from
goodness.
COVID. Now we find out that, what did you tell me?
That the Make America Health report, that RFK now says that children don't need COVID vaccines.
And they're saying that after September, that they will not be recommending COVID to anybody, only to people over 65.
Yep.
Why? Because they want them all to die. That's what I'm telling you. But I'm just telling you now. But they're telling you now that the COVID is not something that is needed, even though they keep pushing the COVID shot to every single drugstore you call.
And this was something you talked about. I remember listening to your show during COVID. I remember listening, even though I was working for another candidate.
Yeah.
But I remember listening to your show, and you talked about it show after show.
I'm telling you, it was billions of dollars. They got billions in grants, and you have to take care of yourself.
Yep.
You have to be on top of yourself. Your foot hurts, so you take care of it.
But that was when I was in college, I had a health professor whose name was Morton Story. He always said, I never forget this, and it was always ingrained in my head. The best way is to just go out there and be active, do the right things, and you'll avoid all this crazy stuff. So people really, they bought into, like you said, the fake media, the fake news.
Do.
Yeah.
Are you foolish? People are voting
people
for the
are
wrong
just
people.
brainwashed. And a man that's leading the polls in the Democratic primary, you're going to get to
you guys, I'm going to
at the center of that.
You're going to be shocked. But what bothers me the most is that you're being tricked into it. And that nobody's running this city. Nobody's running this city.
No.
You have Mayor Adams doing this, and Hochul coming here doing it. Hochul's here too much. Go run the state. She's so busy with us. And you're going to vote her back in.
That's another point we're going to find out.
She only has a 1-point lead on the...
Elise Stefanik.
Not Stefanik. Stefanik and her, that's Republican Democrat.
And if you do want to call in and let us know your thoughts on the poll.
No,
but
Stefanik and Cuomo will be a close race. They said that.
Hochul.
I'm talking about this other guy, Rojos, the borough president.
Oh, you're talking about Reynoso.
Reynoso.
Yeah, borough president.
He has a very close chance of beating her for governor if he runs.
Well, there's Richie Torres. People talk about
Richie Torres. Okay.
Antonio Delgado, the lieutenant governor.
We need to get Hochul out. She's a 0-0-0-0.
Well, you know what? A Republican might have a chance there next year. It's a statewide race. Republicans did very well.
Give up her position as she has a leader.
Well, Trump wanted to appoint her for a position, and she declined it because of the House. So
here's my quote.
All right.
All because of what you said.
Yes.
You can't go back and change the beginning.
No.
But you can start where you are and change the end.
Yes.
We can start new right now. We can make changes. Don't vote Cuomo in. Vote. By the way, I'm $2,000 away from full total thing. You know, we submitted our signatures. Yes,
we did yesterday.
So I'm now a Republican official candidate as the Republican nominee, thanks to you.
No, I don't know about that.
I'm going to be also an independent candidate. Mr. Felder is going to challenge me, but he has no money. He didn't raise enough money this time. He only raised $13,000 and he loaned himself.
Yes.
I raised all my funding.
Yes.
I know he's doing some kind of straw donations. I don't really care. Just like Mr. What's that other guy? Kala. I don't care what they do.
Mr. Who?
We're running a solid campaign. We're an honorable campaign. I want to win.
Yep.
If I don't win, I don't win. And I always tell people, well, if I don't win, I'm going to quit. I'm not going to quit.
No,
because I've
I'm
been
not
told
quitting.
over and over again, you're serving your community, you're serving your people.
And the famous words of John Cena, never give up, Heshy.
Never give
Never
up.
give up.
Never give up. And that's what I'm going to show you people. Never give up.
And by the way, before you get into this, I got to wish a big happy birthday to one of our dear friends here, one of our favorite listeners who calls in when he gets a chance, Mr. Anthony Finkel. Mr. Anthony Finkel.
I was going to tell you about
his
that.
birthday is yesterday, and happy birthday, Anthony. Hope you have a great day.
Happy birthday, Anthony.
And if you have a chance,
I'll take you out for that sandwich. I keep promising that.
when he's in the neighborhood.
Can you split it with me?
Yeah, of course.
I'm broke.
I'll cover the bill
why
then.
I'm broke?
I think I know why, but tell me.
You first of all, now you can wish him happy anniversary.
Well, obviously our producer today it's his anniversary.
Do you
and
even know what number? I think it's
8.
It's
really
8. It is.
He told me
I said
actually.
It was 7.
He told me twice.
Really?
He made sure to remind
I'm
me.
so happy he's out of my house.
He told me to make sure when we come on the air tonight. He's like, one of the things I want you to do is make sure you wish me a happy anniversary, my 8th year anniversary.
No wonder it's costing me money.
And on top,
he's going to a movie called
Mission Impossible: The Final
Can I go
Reckoning.
with you because I love Mission
I
Impossible.
would love to go, but he didn't invite me.
He didn't invite us.
He's going with his
Do
wife.
you know how much those movies cost? $50 for movies.
It's $20+ for the ticket. IMAX.
Plus he has to buy the popcorn.
So he's going to be. So you
another
think
$50.
popcorn soda is going to come out to about $20.
No.
He's going to buy a candy.
Right.
So you're talking about probably between him and his wife, you're talking about $100.
Wait. Then you forgot the dinner.
Well, the dinner's a separate thing. He's not buying dinner at the theater.
On my credit card.
Well, that I don't. I have any
another
control about.
$250. So basically, it's costing me $400. But for my birthday, you know what he did?
What?
He bought me a used tie.
With your credit card,
With
right?
my credit card. From the gay outlet
Yeah, you might
store.
actually. You mean my?
I want to stop my credit card.
All right, so we'll go with Anthony Finkel to Essence. He lives not far from Essence.
Good.
Anthony, let us know.
Hey,
But
Anthony, please, I'm hungry.
And also, we have to plug, of course, DPH Property Maintenance, our dear friend Anthony Finkel, 347-228-2625. Of course, he's got the Neighborhood Trash Genie service, which again is your weekly waste management for your home or building. Refer a neighbor and get 1 month free. And Curbside Trash and Curb Appeal subscription program is what Anthony Finkel's Trash Genie from DPH Property Services offers. And it includes weekly sorting from all trash and recycling, bringing the trash bins back after sanitation collecting, removal of all litter and debris, broom sweeping of the property, trash liners for clean and tidy refuse management. And again, it's only a monthly subscription of $305 minimum. All property serviced, including weekly trash and recycling bags included. Not that we need it right now. Yes, if you want to call, it's 347-228-2625 for DPH Property Maintenance, www.dph.nyc, 347-228-2625 to get started. Tell them Tom and Heshy sent you from the Just Enough Heshy show.
My partner calling me. I have a big inspection
And
Friday.
Anthony has buildings here, by the way, that he takes care of right here in Borough Park, Ditmas Park, Bay Ridge, Benton,
I want to tell you
Thank you,
my
Anthony. Happy birthday. Yes.
Forget that I'm a little nervous about my L stats, which I think I'm going
Are you
to,
nervous about your joke of the week? Is that what you want? Because
here we go.
last week's, I listened back to it twice.
I know. You called me in the middle of the week, Heshy. I'm not happy with your joke. You better have a good one. I couldn't believe you actually called me to tell me to get a good.
I call you about a lot of things, but that was the first thing on my mind.
So, my granddaughter, Mira
Nava, my
stayed
favorite
by
part.
me one night.
All right.
And as I was tucking her in after reading her bedtime story,
Okay.
she wasn't feeling so good.
I'm sorry to hear.
So I told her, I made the remark that God made eyes to see, ears to hear, noses to smell, and feet to run.
Good.
And Nira says, I think God mixed it up. I said, why? She says, because it's the other way around. My nose runs and my feet smell. I was so proud when she did that. That was funny. So I wasn't sure that you would like that.
That was a good one. That was
Okay?
actually a good
So I'm
one.
going to tell you what really happened this week.
All right, you tell me.
It wasn't this week. It was a couple of weeks ago.
Did we talk about it on the show?
So, yeah, no. Me and Linda had an argument about, her shopping habits.
What
and-
else is new?
Right, and crazy stuff like that. And, I have a lot of people that call me, as you can
Yes,
expect,
I'm aware, I'm aware.
So, I'm sitting in the car with Linda. And all of a sudden, a number rings that I don't even... I don't even notice on the phone, but half the time the number rings, and all of a sudden I reached and I picked up the phone, and as I answer it, and Linda's sitting next to me, all of a sudden I hear, honey, this is a lady saying, why haven't you been coming over lately? What? And Linda looks over to me and says, what the hell? I quickly hang up the phone. I said, Linda, this is just the wrong number. And Linda's like looking at me, and I didn't know what to do. So I said, okay, Linda, what do you want? I don't know what's wrong.
Well, obviously, you're certainly going through a lot of problems from that, Heshy.
So what happened was she always told me about the shoes, and we were nearby that stupid shoe store on Coney Island Avenue.
Oh, yeah. I went in
there,
that shoe
and
store.
It costed me almost $900 for those shoes.
$900?
Right.
Whoa.
So I went out of the store. Okay, and Linda came into the car with me.
All right.
And she starts to call somebody, and right away she says, "Oh, I forgot the receipt, so I might have to return it or change it." So Linda puts down her pocketbook and leaves the phone on the counter. And I'm sitting in the car. As she walks out, the phone rings. I don't pick it up, and all of a sudden it doesn't ring. So I see a buzz, a text, and all of a sudden on the text it says, "Did you get the bag? Did you get the shoes you wanted?"
What?
The girlfriend made the fake call to me. She made believe she was the honey to trick me.
Oh my God!
Yes.
To blackmail you.
It was blackmail. I said, Linda,
my
when she came back, I
God.
said it was your friend that made that call.
Oh
I
God!
got the shoes.
Well, it works every time.
I would tell her I would have bought it anyways.
Works like
I
a
know,
charm.
I
Well,
know.
not for $900.
She had to play me. I know that.
Well,
Anyways,
yeah.
2
jokes of the week, huh?
jokes, but the first one wasn't bad.
2 was very funny. It was a good one.
I had to make it up to you.
Well, you know what? You did a good job. So definitely, I won't blackmail you though for $900 shoes.
You better, I have no money left.
I don't need it. Yeah, well,
I had to pay my son's rent, the one that's going to school. I have to come up with money with the tuition for for my LSTAT test alone is like $500.
I know it's expensive.
You don't even know that. I have to buy the book that I bought that I'm studying that I really didn't study.
The big book, yeah, which I told you, you got to study for.
I'm trying to, but I don't have a moment to study, man. I last night again, we didn't get home till 10 o'clock. Tonight I might get home early.
You got to maybe figure something out like right after Shabbos, where it's like, 10 o'clock at night.
I
Maybe
know,
sit down for an hour or two.
But then in the morning I get up early and I get...
Well, you're going to have to like block out a day and just do it. I know it's a lot, but this is a big deal.
Listen to me.
I told you about my friend who failed the fire safety exam. Now he's going to wait 4 months to take it back. This kid was like, I got it. I'm going to do it. And he failed the exam. You don't want to be like that.
Before I talk about the Palestinian protest, because I know under Cuomo, I will talk about it.
All right.
Under Cuomo, do you believe he'll even stop those protests?
No.
Not at all. He won't say a word. They're going to scream and holler. He's not going to say
nothing. That's why all these, if I could say, all these clowns in our area that are saying, yeah, vote for Cuomo, when he goes and does exactly what Adams has done with these protests, then
so I wanted to show you how my Jewish brothers are crazy. The Democratic Socialist Zoran Mamedani. Did I say it right this time?
No, but it doesn't
Who
matter.
cares? He's an idiot. I thought it's Mamdani. Who cares? Mom idiot. That's what you are. Isimni Mamdani, whatever. I gotta make up a funny name for him.
He definitely doesn't have to quote the late Kobe Bryant.
So
that
it's
Mamba
seemingly
mentality.
that he's gained ground on Andrew Cuomo in the mayoral primary.
Yes.
But the ex-governor...
He had an internal poll out saying he was
So
within
there's a
10
new
points.
internal poll. The survey released that Mamdani is up to 27%.
And Cuomo had 40, right?
40%.
I saw that poll yesterday.
The problem is that with 3 weeks to go,
Less than 4
Mamdani
weeks.
still has all he needs is like 7 points.
Well, I keep saying, I know you say the polls.
But here's where it gets worse.
Okay.
Mamdani, out of Jewish polls voted, Andrew Cuomo and Brad Lander and Mamdani, they were emerging as the top 3 choices for the Jewish voters in a crowded race. According to the new poll, an overwhelming majority of voters who say the city must do a better job of protecting Jewish residents against hate crimes.
Right.
412 likely voters in the June 24th primary. Cuomo has 31%. Mamdani has 20%.
Lander
has 18%.
I saw that.
Of the Jewish vote.
So here's
Why would the Jewish vote
I
for
have a question for that, and I think you're gonna know where I'm going with this. I would love to know from that poll, only 400 people are polled. But on top of that, how many of those people came from Borough Park?
Right.
How many of them came from
all the
Flatbush?
leftists, they didn't get any.
Yeah,
so
they polled people in the Upper East Side. They polled people in Park
but
Slope.
those Upper East Side people vote when a lot of us locals don't.
But I would still say to that, I would be curious to know what that poll would be like in Borough Park, Flatbush,
But again,
Midwood,
the way
Gravesend.
they're doing it is they're saying of potential voters. And that's more important. We have more people of Jewish people that could make changes in this city. We have so many millions of people living, I think like 1.5 million Jews right here alone, maybe more, and we don't vote.
I think it's
just out of 300,000 in my district, we have 30,000 or 15,000 that come to the polls.
I would. So my point to that would saying, if I'm a registered Democrat who's Orthodox Jewish or Sephardic or any religious Jewish descent, right? I look at these choices, and there are going to be a lot of them that feel that they're going to skip the ballot.
But they're foolish. They're going to get it at the end with their taxes going up, coming after the Jewish
But
vote.
what would you do then? Who are you voting for? You mentioned names. Brad Lander's a leftist.
Right.
Zorhan, let's not even go there. Cuomo. I mean, who are you voting for? Adrienne Adams, not voting for. She's the Speaker of the City Council.
Right, she's the worst of the worst.
There's a guy, Whitney Tilson. He's a long shot.
Right.
I mean, he's sort of probably your conservative Democrat, but he's a long shot.
But again, you guys could write in.
Zellner Myrie?
No, but
you can't even say his name, right? Jessica Ramos?
Right.
Michael Blake? Who has he got?
There's a Natalie Williams also. Just all the units like
they're
30.
I just mentioned one. Yeah, Selma Bartholomew.
Right. You have 30 people that I can't believe Cuomo didn't knock them off. Why? What's the strategy that you didn't knock all these other people off?
I think
because of ranked choice voting.
Yeah.
Because with the ranked choice voting, he gets all the bottom votes.
Well, I think it's also because if you think about it, the more candidates are, it's less for you to win. So you know
you need 50%.
Yes, but going into the ranked voting, those names
he will win around 2, 3, and 4. There's no more second voting, so Cuomo has it all calculated.
Like those people are going to
write in Mayor Adams' name.
But Mayor Adams obviously does not want to run a Democratic primary.
He can't run a Democratic primary because
he chose not to.
No, because he knows he'll lose against Cuomo. Cuomo has more.
Well, him and Cuomo have the same base of voters, and Cuomo took those base of voters because of all the problems.
So
that
Mayor Adams is hoping that when it comes time for the final.
Well, I think we've talked about this.
Mayor Adams is suing the CFB to get his money back.
I saw that. Yes, he did.
$3.5 million, big deal.
But I think what he's hoping for, his strategy is that because...
So all you need is about $6 million to run for mayor. That's it? I thought you needed much more than that.
Well, Bloomberg certainly had $100 million.
Bloomberg, that's why Bloomberg won hands down. But you only need $6-7 million.
I was in college, and I had speaking of that, in college, I had a professor of mine who was a judge. I never forget it. He said that Bloomberg he basically bought off like the Democratic parties. He gave him, but no. To your point though, I think that when it comes to Adams, his strategy, which is why you see these independents running like Jim Walden. I don't know what to make of them, but they're running because they think that because Cuomo, should he win the Democratic primary, a lot of Democrats, a lot of left-leaning Democrats are probably not going to vote in November. So maybe they think that they can pull 10, 15, 18% of the vote total and maybe win. I don't know.
I don't know.
I
have a question for you.
Yes.
You know America has a bunch of laws.
As far as I understand.
And every day we have new legislation.
Yeah.
So a judge's job is what? Is to enforce the existing law.
Yes.
Not to interpret it in a way to create
their own laws. Okay. Yes.
And right now they're doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, U.S. judge bars Trump from killing New York congestion program.
They're going back to June 9th.
You're interrupting, stopping immigration. You can't do that. You can't. I mean, you're talking people are defending murderers, killers.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a bunch of murderers being immigrants that are being deported, and we're in court telling them not to deport them.
And you know what the problem also...
And the judge is coming up with that.
And I think the problem with that also is that the money that the taxpayer is on the hook for, because these lawsuits and the time spent in court isn't free. And congestion pricing, to your point.
How come Adam Schiff, who brought these fake lawsuits, the Russian collusion, is still not in jail? The man actually submitted false documentation. He has to go to jail.
Because you answered your own question. These laws, these judges just interpret them. But the congestion pricing, I want to go back to that because that hurts us here in the outer boroughs. You know, this continues to go along.
It's all over.
Yeah, it hurts us here locally because you go into the city a lot. A lot of people do, and they have no choice. And, you know, they can talk about all these different things. But this money, it's a scam. And really... it's really hurting.
You don't
the
understand.
city.
It's another $60 for me a week, $70. You're making fun
And
of
the
it.
consumer's being
You're
hit
looking
with
at
this.
$300 a month, $4,000 a year. And if
not
I have to
going
make an
to
extra,
anything.
right?
It's not going.
And you know they're not giving it to them. Tia.
No.
You know they're going to play the game with it.
I was on this. We were getting signatures right the last 2 weekends. Well, not this weekend because we're more than, but the last 2 weekends before. I was on the subways. I was on the trains and buses. And I can tell you, at least with the trains, you would think, right, this money that we've generated from congestion price, maybe would go back in regular subway service. Subway service was totally just
and
terrible.
police protection. I was watching a video in Crown Heights
Okay.
where a bunch of young teenagers go over to Jewish men and start screaming "Free Palestine, F you," dropping the pants. Nothing, no cops around. When the cops came, they pushed them aside. I said, "These guys are."
Well, because of bail reform, they ain't doing anything anyway.
right.
What are they
And
going
you-
to do?
and you know
And
who-
qualified immunity,
Who
same thing.
created bail reform?
Andrew Cuomo.
Andrew Cuomo.
And Andrew Cuomo claims now on his lit.
Who created congestion pricing?
Andrew Cuomo.
Andrew Cuomo. Go ahead, elect him. Go ahead.
And he has the audacity now in his palm card to say that he's gonna now fix the crime problem. He's gonna add more police. But wasn't it you, Governor, that signed the law for no cash bail? Wasn't it you, Governor, that supported the idea of congestion pricing?
Wasn't you, Governor, who went against and said, "I don't want to do nothing with Trump, and he'll never make the virus, what's it called again, the vaccine." And then you did make the vaccine. We're not going to take it. Then you force everybody to take it. This guy flip flops, has no idea where he is. Now everybody makes fun of Trump. But the point is, Trump is going to stop that war.
But I think I want to go back to Cuomo for a minute, though, because if you're a community leader in Southern Brooklyn and you remember 5 years ago what Cuomo did to your families and this community with those stupid color zones and everything.
He doesn't live in New York ever.
No,
he doesn't live. He has no apartment.
Feel
He lives by his mother's
all
apartment.
all these leaders. I want to go and say Sam Sutton, who just got elected. All these different people that are lining up. Bill Colton, Susan Zwang, by the way, supported by the Conservative Party. All these people, right, that are lining up with Governor Cuomo. You are hypocrites, and this is on your hands because it was this community that got typecasted most 5 years ago and got singled out above anybody else. And now you're going to go back and want this man back in power?
You guys keep forgetting it wasn't only the Jews. He did come after us, but he came after all of you. I mean, a man who allows, and de Blasio should rot and burn in hell, shutting down a park.
And restaurants. People couldn't sit and have a simple meal.
Right. And then he takes away the restaurants and outdoor restaurants and then fines you and then still keeps those outdoor restaurants on the street to take away our parking. I mean, even these stupid bike things, I mean, they don't care about
and then
the citizens.
I think they didn't even want people to go in certain stores for a period of time.
They gave criminal tickets.
But they gave the Walmarts and the big box stores or the other types of places all could be open all day, all the time you want.
You had the first responders who are, not that I have a problem with them, but illegal immigrants working on our food, living in basements, touching our food.
Yep.
They were allowed to run around. They were legal, but us, we couldn't go out and run our businesses or go anywhere. And you think they didn't work together, carry together, or whatever.
No.
I don't know.
Speaking of police real quick, is something I want to talk about because you talked about the issue of crime. You talked about Adams has this big summer safety plan where he wants to deploy 1,500 officers in foot post up to 70 different summer deployment zones, quote unquote, in 57 precincts across the 5 boroughs. And it's in different, what I guess he's labeled as 8 police areas. And he, quote unquote, created this quality of life division here with the NYPD in April to enforce all these different, whether it's noise, parking, all the illegal mopeds. And is it really going to make a difference?
No, but you don't go after the gang members. You don't go after the shooters, the knifers. You're not on the subways. I go on the subway.
Yep,
I was also one time on the subway because I had to take a subway this last week. I'm telling you, I'm watching people screaming and dirty and filthy.
Homeless are on there every day.
I mean, this is you're not solving the serious problems, but you're going after stupid stuff. You know, I had an inspection yesterday.
Okay.
By HPD, where I'm a receiver as well.
I'm aware.
And the inspector, a young lady, a new inspector, she came with a more pro, but she was the one in charge. They put her in charge. And she's going through the whole building. I says, you're here, the building is brand new. It's really brand new, renovated, all the violations gone. She's going over every violation. She's opened the window. I said, it's a brand new window. I said, you're supposed to do it. No, we don't do it. I said, but if I'm not here and you're doing the inspection, you know how to issue the violation when I'm not here. Remove it. Anyways, I opened down the window. She's looking at smoke detectors, and she's saying, well, the stove is not in. I said, we don't need a stove. Well, the kitchen sink is not in. I said, the sink is in, but it's not. Doesn't have to be finished because the clients are Jewish and they designed their kitchens a different way. Sure. I took it to the second floor where the clients are not Jewish, and it was completely finished. Right. We don't have to finish a kitchen. No, you need to have a kitchen finished. I said, that's not part of the violations. The vacate was for the second floor, not the third floor. And she's going through the building. I don't care. We go through the whole place, and she's giving a hard time. And then the other inspector wants to see the plans. We don't take the plans. She's just for no reason. I said, you're here. My job is to get the people back into the building so they have a better quality of life and not sleep on the street and get a lower income for their apartment instead of paying more rent somewhere else. Right. Finally, we finished the whole building. The first floor is completed, the apartment, but we leave, when you finish a job, you put all your material in a corner. We couldn't move all the material out, so we left it in the first floor apartment, which is not rented. The toilet and the sink were not in the bathroom yet. So we said to her, well, this apartment is not part of the vacate order, and nobody has rented the apartment yet. But it's all finished. As you can see, there's no violations. All the violations were good. She was so petty, she walked to the roof to see if the door would close. She said, I'm failing inspection. I said, you can't fail inspection. We passed inspection. You're here for something completely different. Anyways, I called my supervisor from the 7A director, and he says loud on the phone, you tell that inspector to give you at least a partial vacate. No, I don't have to speak to my director. And she won't even give me her name and her badge number, which I saw there. Then finally I got her thing on. Once I got my director on the phone, she saw that I was a serious player. And I told her I'm going to make a complaint about it. Right. Well, you don't know what my report's going to say. I know what my report's going to say. You're not nice. You're not courteous. You're an idiot. You're talking to me disrespectful when I'm showing you that I'm respectful to you. Because for what reason? You're showing us power and you have no right to. Your job is, as an inspector, your job is to help us. But this is something you've talked about on shows many times. It's just an example of one. And it's the other companies. I have a DOB inspector going after a particular building over and over again, giving violations. I have a guy who got a violation that sealed up his property. Right. And they keep climbing over into homeless. And she comes in late after hours, this lady inspector, this same lady inspector. She looked through those. I saw somebody in the building. And they're working. I said, who's working at 8 o'clock at night? One guy. I said, if anything, it would be... we said, even the neighbors told you the homeless people are breaking in there. Why don't you call police and help us? No, that's not my job. This is what they did. They're busy with their jobs. They're busy keeping our contractors on hold. They're busy keeping our... And here's the worst part. Tell me. Landlords who are losing their homes... to the banks because they can't evict people due to the squad. I have squatters. That was a major problem for a long time. And now they're in court, and we're telling the city, stop with the squatters. Let us get them out. We now have squatters. They broke into my mother-in-law's house. We now have 10 months to get them out. They broke in. They created a basement apartment. One died to overdose. We called the police. They're not supposed to be here. Well, too bad. They're squatters. They're squatter law. I said, you see, they're doing drugs here. They're doing it illegally. They broke in. Go evict them. And now we lose our house to the bank, and you know who evicts the squatters? The bank, who gets to keep the house. And then the bank sells the back on a lower mortgage, and then they make a fortune off it. And we lose it. Yeah, I mean, and it not only hurts you, but it also hurts the immediate block in the neighborhood because people now feel less safe because of these squatters, and it's a quality of life issue. So when Adams talks about, I'm going to do the summer safety plan and I'm going to create this quality of life division for the NYPD, it's bogus. It's bogus because we're not fixing, and it even goes back to Cuomo, right? You talked about Cuomo and he's talked about, I'm going to add 5,000 more cops. But Governor, you were the one who took away our funding also, by the way. Yes, but you were the one more important. Anyway, you had an opportunity as governor back in 2019 to tell your fellow Democrats to not do that no cash bail law. And not to help defund the police. And he didn't say nothing about what de Blasio did about defund the police. You're absolutely right about that. He could have, as governor, stepped in. He could have told his fellow Democrats to not vote and put that city budget the way it was. He also could have, he talks about police, qualified immunity was ended. He could have did more to fight for those police officers, to fight for this city, and he did not do that. You think me and Tom are complaining. We're not complaining.
And this is why you have to go out and help Heshy.
Yeah.
HeshyTischler.com.
I'm telling
Just
you,
enough Heshy at gmail.com. 5318 16th
What you're not
Avenue.
paying attention
Yes.
is I'm going to be one of 51 members.
Yes.
Now, people to fight. 51 members.
HeshyTischler.com is where you can help Heshy. Become one of those 51 council members. Email us how you can help. Just enough Heshy at gmail.com.
November, what's my election day? November 4th.
November 4th.
I need
53
volunteers. Come sign up now. And in the month of October, I want to have 20, 30 volunteers making phone calls.
Listen, you know what? We want you before that because you know why? Because now is the time to start building a campaign. We can put you to work. All it takes is an hour, 2 hours here. In fact, we can even put you through phone calls electronically. You want to make phone calls through, we can have a Google Drive set up for it. We actually have it for our voter data. If you want to do calls through Zoom, we can set that up for you.
The month of October, my office will be open.
We will be up. We're up and running now.
Yeah,
you want to come out and help. You want to put some posters up. You want to stand and put some flyers. We need you now. This campaign's starting now. Round two.
Time to donate money.
Time to donate. HeshyTischler.com.
I'm $2,000
is
away.
A few donations away. You want to make change? Heshy can be that council member, that only voice.
One of 51 members. I'm telling you, I can fight with them. I'm telling you, I can. If you're not going to give me the chance, I'll continue my fight. I'll continue to help the people.
But we got people here in the chat, like Black Beauty, Infinite Justice, John Pendergast, who comes in here. If you're here right now, and you're here every week, Shauna, I know Shauna's helped us before, but if you were here and you want to help make that change, you know every week you tune in, you love this show, you comment here in the chat, but if you want to make that change, that real change, maybe you're not happy with Ari Kagan and Ina Vernikov. Maybe you're not.
I'm not happy with Ina Vernikov.
And I'm not happy with a lot of the different people that are running in Brooklyn or across the city. But if you want to make that change, and me too. But we have George Sarantopoulos there. We'll see what he can do. But right now here in this area, you want to make change. You're here every week. You support this show. You've tuned in week after week. You got to support Heshy. Even if you live hundreds of miles away, you can get in touch with us. JustEnoughHeshy at gmail.com. We'll set you up with a phone list through Google Drive. We'll do an hour, 2 hours, whatever. It can make the difference. We're going to keep them because we're going to get them going. So let's go.
Letitia James, your favorite lawyer.
Yes.
So I know they're investigating.
You're going to be a peer reviewer is coming up.
Right. So I hear now that she has some other kind of thing that she conned the city out of $41,000.
Let's make a deal.
I don't know. This lady who went after Trump spent millions of dollars to convict him, and he's going to win his appeal.
Right.
He's going to win his appeal. So basically, she wasted our time for a civil charge to take away $500 million. Really, for what? So she can interfere with his
I feel
campaign.
like every week you mention Letitia James.
I hate her more.
It's
more
like the
every time
same. It's the same story.
But every time I see her in the papers trying to build herself back up, she doesn't deserve to be there.
Yeah, it's every week she does that, though.
Yeah.
What else is new? It's a repeat.
Yeah. So I believe in God.
Yes.
And in Texas, they're trying to pass that. I think they did pass. The 10 Commandments have to be read in the school.
I've heard this talk before. When I was in college, when I took law, that was something we debated.
They're ready to pass the law on Saturday or Sunday.
Okay.
Now, what is Saturday?
Well, Saturday is
the Jewish Sabbath.
Yep.
What is Sunday?
Well, Sunday is the day
the Christian Sabbath.
Yep.
So you're trying to keep the laws open, tell everybody to follow the commandments, but you yourself don't follow the commandments. That's my point why we don't take things seriously. These other leftist people are willing just to abuse our commandments, abuse our laws.
My follow-up to that...
Like the judges. They do whatever they want to do.
Now, my follow-up to that is see what you said, which is interesting, right? You talked about, obviously, the Jewish Sabbath and the Christian Sabbath, right? But what's a common theme in the schools? What's a common theme in the education system over the past, 4 or 5 decades? The idea of a nuclear family and the idea of prayer, the idea of just common sense values. Instead, they want to teach all these nonsensical ideas, and they've promoted an agenda that's gotten away from what the nuclear family was. What was the nuclear family always about? It provided love, it provided safety, it provided that support that right now a lot of families don't bring today because they don't teach it in the schools. That's why what you said going back to would actually be helpful coming back to this country. We now know also that we've seen an increase. We talked about with the Pope. We've seen that there are people that believe in God at a level that we haven't seen in a while. So maybe something like this should be more implemented because we see right now such a major problem.
I'm not saying
in our schools.
Force religion anybody because sometimes we have those cults.
I'm not a believer in like going too far.
Right.
But I think that if you look at where we've gone in the last 4 or 5 decades, we've certainly got away from a lot of things that worked. We know what worked generations ago. And it seems like the education and the left, like you said, the left
people just don't. That's my issue with thing. You know, people are saying that Trump is the king. Trump is a dictator. Trump doesn't know what he's doing. You know,
didn't Biden have all those executive orders the first day he worked in office?
Biden, but now we find out that his staff, they're questioning that his staff knew that Biden was lost. And Biden was not running the country. It was all the other people running it.
Biden never ran the country.
But that's illegal what they did.
I agree.
They did was pure illegal. And they're saying, but if you knew Biden had cancer and you know that chemotherapy affects us so many.
Well, Trump wasn't in office. But
Biden was there, and you had no right to have Biden as president if he was so sick.
Well, that's because we had an election that we obviously know was.
Which now we're starting to find out that it was a cheat as well.
Yeah, right.
Nobody was sure of it, but now we're finding out that
you spoke about it on this show time and time again.
But look what Trump has done. There was already a war between India and Pakistan, and he's already stopped that in its tracks.
Now, what do you think happens?
He went to Saudi Arabia and the UAE, and he said to them, "Listen to me. I'm not saying anything bad, but terrorists have to be destroyed. You cannot allow terrorists to be out there. Hamas must be destroyed. Iran cannot continue.
They can't have a nuclear weapon.
This, we're going to stop them. And now he doesn't want Israel to blow up Iran. But look, he's in direct talks with Iran. Iran that said they will never talk to us. Now, I disagree that Iran should have any chance with us.
I agree with you on that.
I was around by the hostage crisis.
Yep.
But again, if he stops wars and we can have quiet and
But
peace.
I would say to that point about Iran, that's a mess that Obama created.
Yeah.
Obama created that mess because Obama...
But I believe that he'll also stop the Ukraine-Russian war.
I was going to ask you about that. Now, he's fighting with Putin. What do you think happens here now?
Hey, look, he was fighting with the whole Europe, and look now, the EU has called for more time, but they're ready to make a deal on the tariffs, something that you said never will happen.
Well, apparently now I read that Trump, though, wants more tariffs for Europe, though.
Right, and Europe is now saying, listen, let's chill, we're willing to talk. Now he says, okay, I'm putting a hold on
now,
the
speaking of things...
I'm putting a hold on the China. That's why the whole market hasn't collapsed yet. Because, they're coming around.
Market was up yesterday.
And you know what people are complaining about? Trump is complaining about... everybody said that Trump said that toys will be up, buy less toys.
Yeah.
So instead of having $50, you only have $2.
My niece.
Oh my God!
That,
so let me just explain to you something.
All right, you explain.
Would you like to have 50 cheap, broken, dirty dolls that break every week on you, or 2 good dolls? You know, you could buy yourself a used car that
I don't have dolls. Though,
okay, I got you. Know. But toys. I'm just telling you, I buy some of this stuff.
I see.
China. Junk of junk.
Yeah.
Lower than junk. I mean, it doesn't even last a day, and if it even works. I used to have a used car.
Okay.
And if you didn't know how to, my son, I bought him a used car, and he used to fix it all the time and be on top of it and be a handy.
So that's why he took the tickets of Mission Impossible, the credit card.
I don't know how to do that. So I get it because I can't afford to break down.
Understand.
So if you're willing to buy something cheap, so then you're going to spend time and money on it.
Yeah.
And a break on it and not be happy with it. You know, you want to go to a cheaper fruits market, you know, where they sell half of the stuff rotten. You'll get sick.
Yeah.
You go and spend an extra 10 cents. You get a better quality of stuff. And America gives you better quality. You'll live a longer life. You'll have stuff that stays around longer.
Which is what RFK is trying to do here with this.
Do you want to bring up a new couch every week
to
your house? Do you want to change your washing machine every 5 years? Do you want to change? Do you know what it is to change a hot water heater or a boiler?
You would know.
Forget that. It's money, schlepping, drugging, garbage, all that stuff.
Right.
Here, when you have a thing that's guaranteed for 20 years or guaranteed for 5 years, you're right, you're saving the money. And right now you don't have it, so you have to buy the cheaper product.
Right.
But find a way to buy the better product, and it'll last you longer, and you'll be able to give it over to your kids. Anyways, I disagree that everybody's making fun that Trump have $2. Have your $2.
And somebody wants to tell us that they would most certainly feel the same way Heshy does. But speaking of Trump real quick, I see he's going after Harvard more, another $100 million canceling.
It's not only canceling, he's stating that foreign students who should, first of all, why are we giving foreign students more education before our American students?
All right.
Why are we, I got you there, higher marks. Give Harvard over to all American students. Take them in. They don't have to be at the top of the, Harvard should be educating all of us. But instead you're busy educating
Well, Harvard
all the
right now, I think what Harvard's doing
You're
there.
educating the foreigners. You're educating foreigners that are against the American idealistic.
So I think originally the plan was, to give them like visa programs, see if maybe they could do something that could help us here. But what Harvard has done with the way they foster their, their hate in their campuses with their professors, I think Harvard's a completely different entity, and I think Trump should.
Harvard is suing now. Too bad.
And
you bring in foreign students who are supposed to be educated
we look at
to be kind
what
to
Harvard,
America,
Columbia,
to spread the democratic idealism.
And I think that's what these, and again, I was a college student not that long ago, and I think that what we've seen, and I saw it firsthand. I went to college here, and I went to John Jay College, and we see Harvard, we see places like Columbia. These universities have been a breeding ground for hate speech and indoctrination for decades. So really...
But hate speech and indoctrination against the U.S., against the country.
And that's why I think this is one of the things I think Trump is so right on, because I've seen this firsthand. This has been going on in our universities and our schools for decades, and as taxpayers, we're on the hook for that. That's absolutely irresponsible.
I protested in the 80s, but it's normal stuff.
But you weren't protested like today.
It's like crazy. It's like crazy that you want people to be hurt. You're scaring Jewish students. You're scaring black students. You're scaring Asian
anti-Semitic,
students. It's crazy. Then you teach the black students to hate the Jewish students. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
I got to tell you, Heshy, I could only shudder at what it would be like to be a student today. And I'm out of school about 10, 15 years.
Well, I'm going to be a student again.
Well, you're going to be like Rodney Dangerfield, back to school.
No, but I'm going to show them. I'm going to put them in their place. I dare I'm going to be going to Touro College, a Jewish college.
Well, yeah, Heshy, you just, you certainly just focus on passing that law.
Yeah, but I'm going to pass it. I'm going to have a good time. It's only going to be on Sundays. I'm not going to mess around. Yeah, I'm going to keep going.
Maybe you'll win some votes, be it at the schools.
I want you now to tell me about this big, beautiful bill.
I'm glad you brought that up, Heshy, because obviously I've seen here, and I actually, it's so big and beautiful that I actually brought an article out which basically talked about some of these things here in this bill, which, some people like Elon Musk, by the way, disagree with it because it adds...
Is Elon Musk fighting with Trump?
He's not happy with the bill. He doesn't like the debt that's added to it. He thinks it undermines what Doge had done. You've been a big supporter of Doge.
Yes. But those, you just keep cutting. Don't worry about the bill. There are things we do have to do.
Yeah,
Tell us about the bill.
I think some of the things that obviously stand out is he wants to extend the tax cuts, the Trump tax cuts from 2017.
I agree.
He wants to also SALT. They're going to be a little bit more of a SALT deduction, which has been a big issue here in this area, New York, New Jersey. A lot of the congressmen have been fighting for that.
What is that?
Well, basically what it is those that are here can take certain taxes and use them as a write-off. It was a big contentious issue originally back in 2017, but this year the deduction gets its increase from $10,000 to $40,000. That's a big thing for people because we get hit with so many taxes here in New York and New Jersey.
Wow, tell me about it. I just barely paid off my taxes.
And also we get to see some other things like the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. That'll be higher deduction, which a lot of people wanted. Also, we're going to see an increase in the child tax credit. A lot of people have been talking about that. So that goes up.
Me now.
I know. Well, maybe the grandkids.
By the way, I didn't take tax credit for
no taxes on tips. By the way, people like.
I agree with that.
That's a big one.
I agree with that.
But there's some other things that people are upset on, like Medicaid cuts. Universities get cut.
Yeah, but the Medicaid cuts are for people committing fraud.
$792 billion is what they're cutting from Medicaid.
Okay, but it's not from the
now,
people that need
some
it.
Republicans wanted them to go further. They wanted them to cut more because of the debt.
But they're cutting in places where there's fraud being committed.
Yep.
They know the fraud. They know you're asking for fraud. They know you're suing fake stuff. They know you're claiming fake disabilities. So that's where they're cutting it. They're not cutting it for people. You're right. Some people do fall into the loop. And
now, do you agree with the debt ceiling being raised?
Wow. The point is, for now, we can still keep going. The point is,
I think right now, I read yesterday that
you're gonna have to pay it off. It's not. You're not giving me a plan to lower the debt.
And this is something that I really caught my interest. I was reading something yesterday that said that our revenue, when it comes to compared to the debt, is something like 100% of our revenue. So basically, like right now, like where we are in terms of the debt and our overall revenue, it's the U.S. debt right now. We owe basically 100% of our economy to creditors. So basically, what we're generating in revenue, really, when it comes to that debt, it all goes back to creditors.
And Trump is supposed to be able to lower our debt.
And the debt, we're going to add $3.3 trillion.
Oh God! So we're going to hit $40 trillion.
No, it's 116.
There's no way to
bill.
pay that off.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
but
what
there's
people are upset
150
about.
trillion.
And that's what Musk is upset about.
But I heard there was 150 trillion hidden there, 30 trillion there. There's so much money all
I don't
over
know,
the place.
but that's what some people are upset about. So it seems like there are good things. I think that the tax cuts being extended. I think no new taxes on tips. I think the child tax credit deduction. Those are good things. But I think, when are we as a country?
You're solving the problem for today, which I agree, because
there's an old expression, we're kicking the can down the road.
I know that, but the truth of the matter is, if we don't make it today, we can't even kick the can down the road.
But when will this buck stop?
These are all geniuses. We have geniuses in Congress.
And I want to say goodbye, by the way, to our listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in. 102.7 FM, WSNR 620, our flagship, WJPR 1640. We will see you next week.
A little early?
No, we're at 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes left.
Really?
5 minutes. Producer, who's, by the way, got the 8-year anniversary. And he's definitely counting the clock because he wants to go see Mission Impossible at your expense.
I want to go too. I really want to go to Mission Impossible.
We can go to Mission Impossible, but he's not going with us tonight.
I've been a Mission Impossible fan from those television
I don't want to
series.
spoil the movie, but for those out there.
You said that he died.
No, I didn't actually.
I heard you say
no,
he died.
he asked me, the producer, did he die? And I basically didn't.
How could Tom Cruise die? Then we'll never have another Mission Impossible.
Well, you're technically not supposed to have another
Even though,
Mission Impossible.
Ethan Hunt is not the real...
Yes.
It was just somebody else. Ethan Hunt took over for the...
I will spoil one thing about this.
Please.
Tom,
You saw Mission Impossible?
I saw it on Memorial Day.
How'd you do that?
I went to I have an AMC movie pass.
I love Memorial Day.
Yes.
And we have to thank the soldiers.
Absolutely. Thank all the veterans and everybody
that fought for us, the Jewish soldiers that went to war. I
got something for you. I saw something. Gene Simmons, who was from the band Kiss, he met, which I thought this was so cool. He met a 100-year-old World War II veteran who wound up actually, his mother was a Holocaust survivor. I don't know if you knew that or not. And he actually met the man that rescued his mother from what she went through during the Holocaust. He was 100 years old. It was a whole big thing on social media. He met her with his wife. And
but those are soldiers that died for this country.
Yep.
What you people don't
But there were also
understand
men like him that rescued those in the Holocaust. How about that?
People sit here and take advantage of New York City and Manhattan and all the boroughs and all the states. People actually gave their lives for us.
Absolutely.
We take advantage. We get up
Vietnam,
in the morning.
also a lot of Vietnam
we get up
veterans.
in the morning. We joke around.
We complain about Heshy not getting elected.
They did a focus group on me. A rabbi did a focus group on me.
Yeah.
And he says, Heshy, people like you.
Okay.
People actually like you, but they think you're a clown. I said, what about all the things I do? They know you do things, but they think you're a clown. I said, that's what your focus.
Well, they call you, I can tell you, being in this district as long as I have, people will say that you're a rebel rouser. That's the word they always use, rebel rouser, about you.
But that's what you need. When somebody's in trouble, to go scream at the cop, to scream at the lawyer, to scream at the judge.
Well, it's just like
I fight for the underdog.
Well, it's just like the state Senate election we had last week. We had two choices between two men that really
Which I don't think was right.
No.
Why wasn't it open to everybody to run for state Senate? Why would you have a retard like Carla, we're going to beat as a district leader, and a guy, Sam Sutton, who's just a straight-out lying crook?
Who's backed all the bad people, all the garbage, but that was because the insiders weren't that way.
Greenfeld and Kalman Yeager.
And Felder,
Kalman Yeager, who screwed his own guy,
Yep.
Carla.
Yep.
As you can see, here's a guy, Nachman Carla, who helped Yeager, raised him money, did everything for him with Felder, and who did they support?
Sutton. And on top of that, Collar in the past, we know this election, the last election, previous ones, supported Felder. Put him on the ballot. Got signatures for him.
This is your politics, and these are the people you want to keep in power. And
that's why you go to HeshyTischler.com, justenoughheshy@gmail.com, 5318 16th Avenue. One thing on a lighter note, one thing I will say about Tom Cruise, this man is either on steroids or he's at a gym 24 hours a day.
No, he's about, what is he, 6? He's the same age as me. He's like
But
16.
this man literally, I'm in decent shape.
You saw my blood work. I'm pretty good,
but
too.
This guy's blood work is on another level.
Jumps and flies.
There's a scene in the end of the movie. I don't want to go there, but
you gotta go. You gotta tell us.
Well,
does he die?
I can't comment on that.
So then he dies.
I can't comment on that.
It's not fair.
The producer could cut our mics off early because he wants to see it and he doesn't know. So obviously we can't do that. So he already bought the ticket. So that's why obviously we want to thank everybody for tuning in, because thank you everybody. We'll see you next week. Just Enough Heshy at 7005 on YouTube. Just Enough Heshy on Instagram. HeshyTischler.com, 5318 16th Avenue. We'll see everybody next week. Join the campaign. Join me in wishing the producer a happy anniversary. Thank you for tuning in. Heshy, thank you for coming on my show, by the way. If you want to see hit the sub button for me on YouTube at Sportswire Radio 657. I just hit 1,500 subscribers. Heshy got some new followers on Instagram and YouTube because of my show for a change. So there you have it. Yep.
But my issues that I talk about are serious issues. I care about this city. I care about you. I care about our children. I care about the people in the hospital. I care about Linda. I care about everything. And I fight for you. And you're right. Sometimes I get exhausted and I get upset.
That's okay.
And I want to give up. But you know what? The truth of the matter is I do believe in God. And every time I want to give up, I have a friend of mine that tries to give me a little bit of just a push and say, hey, stop it. Again, I get down too, especially with Linda's mother.
We all do. It's been a very tough time.
Committing suicide, and I see all the, the strife and the terrible.
But we learn more in adversity than we do in victory. Remember, we learn more.
Wow, you're quoting now?
We learn more.
I do the quote at the beginning of the show. You do it at the end of the show. Say that again. I like this quote.
We learn more in adversity than victory. There ain't no sunshine and rainbows.
I don't like adversity.
Well, we have been dealing with it, and thank you everybody for tuning in. This is the Just Enough Heshy show this week. Like I said, hit the sub button for us. If you're here in the chat, thank you everybody. Black Beauty, Infinite Justice, John Pendergashana. Play that music, producer. We'll see you next week. Happy anniversary to our producer. Happy birthday, Anthony Finkel and Heshy. Go have dinner with Linda.